All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. Really appreciate it. I want to give a special thanks to Ezra Chambers. Sent me a $20 PayPal donation. Man, very much appreciated. Thank you so much for that. That's actually my first donation I've ever got. My PayPal account is up in the description of my channel, but I don't ask for money. So anybody who ever donates, like a super thanks, something like that, believe me, I really appreciate it. It does help, believe it or not. It does help, fund the research and that kind of stuff. It does, in a lot of different ways. Trying to upgrade the channel and long term, that kind of thing. It really does. So again, thank you to Ezra Chambers. I really appreciate it. It was very kind to you. So in this video, what I'm going to talk about is Dennis Rodman and his kind of trajectory, I guess you could say, his legacy, that kind of thing, and how it was altered big time when he went to the Bulls. I'm in the camp that if Dennis Rodman does not go to the Bulls, he's never going to be. He would not be a top 75 player. Never would have happened. I believe the Bulls would have got another serviceable power forward. Do I think they would have won those championships? I don't know. Personally, I think that in 96 and 97, I think with a serviceable power forward, somebody, pretty good, like a Derek Coleman type player or something like that, I think the Bulls would have won in 96 and 97. I really do. But in 98, with Pippen, with the injury and all that, and how they just barely scraped by against Indiana, and, even Utah was kind of a scrape-by situation. I don't think they win it in 98. So, they needed Rodman. Pippen was fading. He was fading fast. He didn't play very well in those last two series. The last two that Jordan and Pippen ever played together. He was fading. But what I was going to look at here is the effect, like I said, that Michael Jordan had on Dennis Rodman. Now, we all know back in 1989 and 1990, Detroit won the championship. Rodman, was a big part of that. He won the Defensive Player of the Year in 1991 and 1990, and then again in 91. Well, in 91, they were going for the three-peat, and they had the same team, and again, everybody loves to talk about the ages of these players. I've heard this is another narrative that's out there. Oh, Pistons got old, blah, blah, blah. We just can't give any credit to, Jordan and the Bulls that they were on the ascension. No. We just can't do that. It's got to be a reason why they finally beat the Pistons, right? Well, in 1991, Dennis Rodman, like I said, Defensive Player of the Year, his first team all-defense. He was given 8.5 points a game and 12.5 rebounds. So he obviously was a very good on-ball defender, a great one. And he could play, defend inside, outside. But offensively, he still wasn't really giving you much at all. But he was a good offensive player. He did the boxing out. He did a lot of offensive rebounding, set a lot of good screens. So he was definitely a good offensive player, just not scoring the basketball. He never was. It wasn't his thing. But on that team, the other starters were Bill Laimbeer. He was 33. Now, granted, he was an older 33. They played a lot of playoffs and all that kind of stuff. And he was definitely on the, downslope of his career. But Joe Dumars was not, firmly in his prime. He was in 91, he was an all-star. He was 15th for MVP, third team All-NBA, and second team All-Defense. Also, you got James Edwards, who was 35. He was, getting older. John Sally was coming in, playing more minutes, that kind of thing. And Isaiah Thomas, 29 years old. And everybody says, he got hurt. Now, he was a little hobbled. I agree with that. But he wasn't old. He was 29. He was an all-star. He was 13th for MVP. You're not top 13 in MVP if you're old and washed up. That's just not possible. Okay, So anyway, they were 50-32. They play the Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals. They get swept out. Okay. So in 92, the next season, they're only 2 games worse, 48-34. And in this season, Rodman finished 10th in MVP, 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year, 3rd team All-NBA, 1st team All-Defense, an All-Star, won the rebound title, averaging 9.8 points and 18.7 rebounds a game, probably his best overall season. On the team also, you had Orlando Woolridge, who's new to the team, is 32. These are the starters. Joe Dumars, again, firmly in his prime. He's 28, an all-star, finished 5th for Defensive Player of the Year. 1st team all-defense. Isaiah Thomas was 30, still an all-star. John Sally, who was playing quite a bit now, was 27, and Bill Laimbeer was also starting sometimes. He was 34. So that's a team that was, still pretty much in their prime. There was a couple guys that were older. Like I said, Laimbeer was definitely older, but Sally wasn't. And, it wasn't the same team. But they got beat in the first round by the Knicks. The Knicks were, I think, 51-31 in that one. So, in 93, they started to fall off a bit. Rodman averaged, the Detroit in 93 were 40-42. They missed the playoffs. Rodman averaged 7.5 points a game, 18.3 rebounds, won the rebound title. He was 4th in Defensive Player of the Year, 1st team all-defense. And also, going back to 92, Detroit had 2 of the top 5 players for Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, they still had a very good defense. 93, like I said, Rodman was 4th for Defensive Player of the Year. Joe Dumars, firmly in his prime. He's 29. He's an all-star, 1st team all-defense, and 2nd team all-NBA. Ain't nobody going to tell me that Dumars was washed out. He was not. Isaiah Thomas, 31, made the all-star team. And then Orlando Woolridge was 33. He was given like 12, 13 points, whatever. Terry Mills is now on the team. He's 25 years old. He's giving you 14.8 points and 5.8 rebounds a game. Decent player. But they just didn't have the offense like they used to. Their defense was pretty good, but, interior-wise, they just weren't quite as good as they were. They missed the playoffs altogether. So then, Rodman, being such a valuable player, which he really was, they trade him for Sean Elliott. Because, like I said, they lacked offense. But you're going to get rid of Rodman, probably your best player. Isaiah doesn't have much left in the thing, maybe a year or two, whatever. Dumars is a young budding star. But Chuck Daly left after the 92 season. That really seemed to affect Rodman. He played good, but I think he was kind of like a disciplinarian case and that kind of thing. And I think he had a gun in his car. A cop found him asleep or something. I don't know what that was about. But, he just kind of lost it after Chuck Daly left the team. So he gets traded to San Antonio in 94. Rodman gives them... San Antonio lost in the first round. They were 55 in 2017. Pretty good. Now, they were already winning 50-some games because David Robinson was at the helm. But they lost in the first game, 3-1 to Utah, who was 53 and 29. So that was an upset. Rodman was giving them 4.7 points a game, 17.3 rebounds a game. He was 6th for Defensive Player of the Year, 2nd team all-defense, and he was 11th for MVP. So they thought enough of him for that. So they're probably thinking, we got a good trade. That team also had David Robinson, who was 28 years old, 2nd in MVP, 2nd for Defensive Player of the Year, 2nd team All-NBA, and 2nd team All-Defense. I'm pretty sure Olajuwon got 1st in both those. But on the team also, you had Dale Ellis, who was 33, still giving you 15.2 points a game. You got Vinny Del Negro, who was part of the 99 championship team, I do believe that's true. And Willie Anderson, decent player, 26-27. So they had a pretty good team, spearheaded by Robinson and Rodman, but, they weren't next level, upper echelon, challenging for a championship. That didn't happen until the next year in 95. But here's the thing. In 91, when Rodman and the Pistons played the Bulls, they got swept. Okay? So they won 0 games. In 92, they lost 3-2 in the first round. All right? And then in 93, they missed the playoffs. In 94, they lost 3-1. What that means is, in Rodman's in 4 seasons from 91 to 94, they from the Bulls series to the 94 season on the Spurs, they won 3 playoff games in 3 playoff series, essentially. The Eastern Conference Finals against the Bulls, the 92 first round against the Knicks, and the first round against Utah. Rodman won 3 games. That's it. Okay, so on 95 Spurs, I think Bob Hill is the coach now. They got some definite upgrades. Sean Elliott, the guy who got traded to the Pistons, he was a free agent. He comes right back to the Spurs, so now they got both Rodman and Elliott. It's funny how that worked out. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Vinny Del Negro is still there, and they got Avery Johnson running the point. They got a legitimate team now. Rodman, in 95, the Spurs were 62-20. They lost in the Western Conference Finals 4-2 to the Rockets. A lot of people feel like they should have won that series. I'm one of them. They should have won it. But Olajuwon was just too much on a mission. Rodman, that year in 95, finished 12th for MVP, 5th for Defensive Player of the Year, 3rd team All-NBA, 1st team All-Defense. He won the rebound title, giving you 7.1 points and 16.8 rebounds. Okay? David Robinson was 29 years old. He won the MVP. He was 1st team All-NBA, 1st team All-Defense, finished 4th for Defensive Player of the Year. Even better than Rodman. Avery Johnson was 29 years old in that season, giving you 13.4 points, 8.2 assists. Sean Elliott giving you 18.1 points a game. You know, he was an all-star either that year or the year after. Vinny Del Negro was 28, giving you 12.5 points a game. So you got a team full of guys under 30 other than Rodman. He's got some, legitimate teammates here that are in their primes. But they got upset. They got beat. So what'd they do? They traded Rodman, thinking that he was some kind of a problem or whatever, for Will Perdue. Will Perdue. That's what they thought of Rodman. Whether he was a head case, whether he was a whatever the deal was there. People didn't even want to deal with Rodman because he was getting crazy with the colored hairs, dating Madonna, doing the marrying yourself thing, all this crazy stuff. People didn't even want to touch him, okay? Yeah, he's a good player and a nice piece to have, but nobody wanted it. He got traded for Sean Elliott. Yeah, he's a good player, but come on. Sean Elliott is nowhere near the level of Dennis Rodman. And then he got traded for Will Perdue. They basically just let's just get rid of him. Get anything you can for him. Crazy, right? The Bulls didn't even want him. Pippen said, I want nothing to do with it. He's from the Pistons. I want nothing to do with Rodman. Do not bring him on this team. He was adamant about it. Jerry Krause. Oh, I ain't touching that guy. No way. He's crazy. You can't control that guy. It was Michael Jordan who said, Dennis will play and he will stay in line. He can help us win. That was Jordan that said that. And he had the respect for Jordan and Phil Jackson, and he did. And he did help him win. And the thing is, didn't just help him win, but they had historic seasons. In 1996 is the best season in NBA history, win percentage-wise, from the regular season and the and playoffs combined. It's the best season of all time. I want to say it was 87-13, I think is the final record on that. Nobody's ever had an 87% winning percentage in any NBA season ever, between the regular season and playoffs combined. So in 96, they had the best ever. In 1997, they barely had less. They were 69-13, and I think they were 85-17, something like that. It was like the 3rd or 4th best winning percentage of all time. But combined, 96 and 97, there was the best 2-year stretch winning percentage, regular season wins ever. Or if you combine the regular season playoff win total ever. So it's hard to do like that sometimes. And Rodman was getting older. He was, think he was 34 when he came to the Bulls. He turned 35 in the season in 96. So then he was 35 going on 36 in 97, 36 going on 37 in 98. So, you know, he was getting up there. I mean, he was still playing well, but nobody wanted the guy. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't looked at like he had high value because he, you know, couldn't be controlled or whatever. But, you know, Jordan and Phil Jackson gets credit. They reined him in, so to speak, and got him to focus on playing basketball. And in that stretch, in 98 season, the last one they were together, when Pippen was injured, it was Rodman who really stepped up. And Jordan and Rodman kind of led the way. They were 26-12 without Pippen. Period. That's what happened. But the thing is, Rodman, that 98 season, he was 5th for Defensive Player of the Year. He was vital, no doubt. 4.7 points, 15 rebounds a game. In the playoffs, though, he fell off some. He went down to 11.8. He was starting to act out. Phil benched him in a few games. He was having issues. But he was, like I said, 36, 37 years old. Steve Kerr's 32. Luke Longley's 28, 29. He's in his prime. Kukoc, 29. Ron Harper's 34, 35. Michael Jordan is 34, 35. Pippen is 32, coming off of, you know, his, what do you have, knee or ankle surgery, whatever it was. So he's definitely getting older. But somehow they held it together to get a three-peat. Pippen hurt his back and all that kind of thing. Without those 3 rings at the end there, Rodman is definitely not a top 75 player. No way, not even close. I can't even believe a guy who averages less than 10 points a game for his career is a top 75 player. But he had value, but it just took the right people to get the most out of him. And that's the whole point of the video. Why Michael Jordan, you know, like a Magic Johnson or maybe a Larry Bird, definitely a Bill Russell, knew how to get the most out of players like Dennis Rodman. And that's where, I hate to say it, but, you know, other players fall short. You know, they don't know how. All they're worried about is, let me get my stats, yada, yada. It's like, no, you know, Michael Jordan had a good way of knowing how to involve his teammates on the court. He would give up the ball to him. But anyway, this video is all about how Dennis Rodman would never have been a top 75 player if it was not for Michael Jordan. There's no doubt about it. Nobody wanted him. Jordan said he can help us win. He was emphatic about it. They needed a power forward. They knew that. Rodman was on the table for Will Perdue. Can you believe it? I mean, the Bulls probably would have gave him more, you know, but Krause initially didn't even want him, didn't want the trade. Like, we're going to give you Rodman for Will Perdue, and he said no initially. It took a couple days of convincing for him to pull the trigger on that, which I just found nuts. As soon as I heard the news, I didn't know how to feel about it because he was a Piston, he was an enemy kind of thing. I didn't know how I felt about it. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, if they get him in line, that's what it's all about. I mean, yeah, he could help them win. They should be maybe the favorites to win it. I had no idea they were going to go 72-10, but I'm just saying, you know, Michael Jordan deserves a lot of credit for that. Phil Jackson was also a little reluctant, not as much as Krause, but he was like, I don't know, he's on the fence. You know, the history they had with him, he pushed Scottie Pippen down in a game, and, you know, Pippen didn't forget that. And I get it, but Rodman really stepped up in that 98 season a lot. He did, and he was key in several playoff series and just moments in that three-peat. But like I said, he got traded for Sean Elliott and Will Perdue. That's how valuable they thought this guy was, which is just crazy to me. They just wanted to get rid of him. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Again, I mean, come on. You got to give Jordan some credit for that. How he helped Rodman be a top 75 player. There's no way around it. Without Jordan, Rodman is not a top 75 player. There's no doubt about it. Not just convincing the team, you know, hey, we need Dennis. He'll help us win. But also the fact that when they played together and they were focused, how dominant they were. And, you know, winning the three-peat, you know, that obviously is a huge thing on your resume. But the way they won it, you know, at the 72, a 69, and a 62-win season, nobody's really seen anything like that. I mean, Golden State got close. You know, the Celtics in the 60s, as far as winning, yeah, even more so, but not at that level, you know, winning that many games, that kind of thing. But anyway, that's all I got for this video. Again, I just want to say to Ezra Chambers, again, thank you very much for the PayPal donation. I really appreciate it. And thanks for watching.